So we know that Elon Musk owns Starlink, right? What some of you may not know is that 2 days ago, one of the Starlink satellites that Elon Musk owns miraculously just fell apart and burst into flames over Frisco, Texas. People just thought it was part of a meteor shower. Does anybody know what the punishment actually is for espionage and treason?
As the richest person in the world, Elon Musk faces relentless opposition to almost everything he does. Each innovation he pursues challenges established sectors. Starlink is the satellite internet service launched by SpaceX and Elon Musk. The company has faced all kinds of criticism. Many also argue that its subscription fees are out of reach in the most underserved regions, undermining the company's main promise of universal connectivity. But despite the criticism, Starlink has emerged as a game changer, enabling high-speed internet access in some of the most isolated regions of the world. Starlink is disrupting traditional telecom companies. For years, these companies have held control over infrastructure, pricing, and access.
There's a need for connectivity in places that don't have it right now, or where it is connectivity is very limited or very expensive. But in many parts of the world, like I said, that's simply not available. So you can think of Starlink as filling in the gaps between 5G and fiber, and I think it's growing rapidly. And we're continuing to innovate the user terminal and the satellite and the ground stations.
Starlink operates using a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites designed to provide seamless internet coverage. Unlike traditional satellite internet services, which rely on geostationary satellites stationed much farther from Earth, Starlink's low Earth orbit satellites drastically reduce latency and increase speed. Starlink offers internet access in remote regions that traditional telecom providers often ignore due to low profitability. Unlike fiber optic networks that require extensive groundwork, Starlink can provide services almost immediately upon the installation of its antenna. In regions where Starlink has rolled out, traditional providers have faced pressure to lower prices or improve service quality.
We're averaging around 160 to 200 download and around 20 to 30 upload. So it is blowing our AT&T away. We were lucky to get an 8 download and a 0.5 upload. So it's like, and it averages, I would say, probably maybe like 11 minutes, because it's got an app, and the app shows you like how long there has not been those satellites or how long there's another problem showing where it's down. So it is a great app. The only negative thing that I have to say about it is it needs a lot of sky. So if you've got a lot of trees, you're going to be really, really in trouble. But the speeds, oh my gosh, we are in love with it. We have still got our AT&T. We're going to keep it probably for another few months before we completely throw away AT&T. So if you're thinking about getting Starlink and you don't have really good internet and you don't have a whole lot of trees, it's worth it. I would say do it. I would do it again and again and again.
Starlink is also growing its presence in Africa. Last week, the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia said that it has issued a cease and desist order to Starlink for operating in the country without a license. The country's telecom companies have been lobbying regulatory authorities to limit or outright block Starlink's entry into the market. Starlink operates in several African countries, but the company's expansion in this continent has been slowed by regulatory challenges. Each country has its own telecommunications laws and requirements, often designed with traditional telecom operators in mind. These regulations can be complex and vary between countries. In some cases, these governments have expressed concerns about national sovereignty and the security implications of allowing a foreign company to operate satellite-based internet services.
Africa has kind of been this controversial continent as far as Starlink service goes because not very many countries in Africa have officially approved Starlink, but there's so much demand there. So many people want high-speed, low-latency internet from Starlink. So the workaround that people have been doing is ordering Starlink in one of the few approved countries and then just taking it to another country where Starlink isn't approved. Now with the Roam service plan, previously you could travel within your home continent for as much as you like. So that's how people were getting around the official approval process. They were using these Roam dishes, these Roam service plans as home internet in a different country than they ordered it. So I think Starlink ultimately has decided to just cut off roaming completely for Africa to stop this workaround method. So in the countries where Starlink is approved in Africa, the only service plan that you'll be able to order is residential, and that only works at the service address that you register it for in the country that you registered it for. So you're not going to be able to take those kits to a different country and be able to use it because the residential service plan just doesn't work that way.
Despite these challenges, the potential benefit of Starlink's service in Africa is immense. Starlink is also accessible in multiple European countries. Europe has no reusable launcher to call its own after deciding against the technology a decade ago. As Europe lags behind, Starlink is adding new wins to its 4 million strong subscriber base. Air France, which is partly owned by the French government, announced in September a deal with Starlink to offer high-speed Wi-Fi on its flights. That same month, Starlink announced a deal with flagship US airline United Airlines. Starlink will also be able to improve its product as it launches more satellites. Each new batch of Starlink satellite enhances the overall system, increasing bandwidth, coverage, and speed, making the service more accessible. The ability to launch additional satellites at a relatively low cost through SpaceX's reusable rockets has been a major advantage. This has enabled the company to expand its constellation in a cost-effective manner, accelerating the rollout of its service to underserved regions worldwide. This process of continuous satellite launches and product iteration has positioned Starlink as the leader in satellite broadband, having the largest customer base and market share in the industry, well ahead of other competitors due to its extensive low Earth orbit satellite constellation and rapid subscriber growth. The company also continually upgrades its software, refining features such as user interfaces and service scalability. As more users join the platform, Starlink better understands usage patterns and implements upgrades to ensure consistent performance. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to World of Finance TV and turn on the notification.